Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Tim Hankewich, back for another concert for Orchestra Iowa. We're heading into our second Masterworks concert of the new year.
It's that time again, and it's finally starting to feel like fall.
Yeah, picking them up and laying them down.
That's right.
I'm interested in this concert for many reasons, looking forward to it, because it features one of our own, Conor Hanick from Iowa City.
Yeah.
But also, this is, two guest artists on piano in a row.
Correct, yeah.
So,
am I biased as a pianist? Is that what you're accusing me?
No, not at all. I am. Well, let's talk a little bit about Conor first.
Sure. Yeah.
Because he's our guest. Currently, he is in New York.
Sure.
And is a well-known pianist with Iowa City roots.
Super lucky to have him. I'm a huge fan of his, and I'm proud of him and proud to know him. It's just wonderful over the years seeing his career blossom. It's one thing to be a talented pianist, another thing to be, or even a student, and it's another thing to be a talented young professional. What the layperson doesn't understand is the huge chasm one has to straddle to get from there to making it, to being a full-time professional performing artist in the classical music world. And he's done that, and he's absolutely killing it. He is a co-artistic director of the Ojai Chamber Festival in California, one of the world's leading chamber festivals. He's performed with the New York Philharmonic, not a bad band. I've heard of them. And same thing with the San Francisco Symphony and others, and it just goes on and on and on. So it's nice that he still knows where he came from, and he visits every once in a while.
And is willing to come every now and again and maybe sit down at the piano for a bit.
Absolutely.
Me? Really?
Yeah. Oh,
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
So it's a great treat to have him, and as I said earlier, I'm just proud to know him.
And we don't get him very often.
No, well, because he's busy.
He's a busy guy.
Right. In the past, he's performed some kind of straight down the plate regular repertoire pieces like Brahms' First Piano Concerto and others, but this is the first time that I programmed something that's really in his wheelhouse, because he is a new music specialist, and when I say new, I mean hot off the presses, like within the last 5 years.
Oh, okay, so not usual.
Correct.
Classical music new, which is something between 5 and 150.
Correct. So what we've done is we've programmed the Bartók Third Piano Concerto, so written in the 30s. So it's not new, but it is more of an advanced sort of musical sound world, if you will. And it's right up his wheelhouse, and it just fits into this program beautifully.
So now, since we said that he's the second time in a row, we've had a guest artist who's a pianist.
Correct.
So please compare and contrast.
Compare and contrast.
Mr. Hankewich, compare and contrast the styles of these two musicians. Who you both, again, because, the last month, he's one of your best friends.
Yeah. Yep. So, I think in terms of personality, I mean, because ultimately your personality comes through your playing. They're both lovely gentlemen, and I think Conor's a bit more of a focused person. Not I was about to say serious, but so is Corey. They're both serious, but Conor is a more focused personality, and Corey is kind of like that golden Labrador who likes to lick your face all the time, who can also play the hell out of the piano.
Well, we discovered that when we got to watch it last month.
Exactly.
That was a piano master class.
But what they have in common, though, is decoding some of these concertos that aren't played very often, because we are sometimes stuck in the old repertoire. And how do you approach a piece that's kind of rarely played, that's really, really difficult, and also is challenging for the audience as well as for the orchestra and pianist. And so they both that's right, they both have their wheelhouse is new music, and so it's kind of, I'll be, now that you bring that up, I'm going to have to pay attention a little bit more this weekend to compare and contrast, because they both sort of occupy the same artistic space.
Well, and the barber that Corey played is also one of the toughest out there.
It's insanely difficult.
Because what was it you guys were talking about in the Insight, that you could only find one other orchestra performing that piece?
In the world. Yes,
this year.
and they were busy that weekend because for your listening audience, Corey, our previous artistic guest, had some difficulties with his travel visa that came through at the very last moment, and so just as a backup, we were looking for alternates in case he couldn't get past customs. It all worked out great; it was perfect. But yeah, when we were looking at other people, just in case, we could not find anybody because it's such a beast. Yeah.
And the Bartok is a similar difficulty level?
Similar difficulty level, but also different. So one of the reasons I programmed it with the Beethoven Seventh Symphony is that they're both sort of similar in terms of orchestra size. Chamber E, smaller, more intimate. It's not quite the whiz-bang pound that you get with the Barber Concerto, but at the same time, there's a lot of technical tour de force with it as well. So in many ways, the Beethoven and the Bartok complement each other in style, being chambery like, and also the two composers were revolutionary for their day. They really changed the landscape of music during their generation.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Beethoven's Seventh.
Sure, it's my favorite. It's my second favorite symphony. I think
once
6
again,
and 7.
Once again, Tim's 20th. We are programming specifically for Tim
Correct.
all season long.
Thank you very much, and it's really one of my favorites because. It comes later in Beethoven's life when he finally was accepting his impending deafness and coming to terms with that. Not only opened up a new artistic world for him, he found a new wellspring of joy. And so some of the elements that you miss in middle Beethoven is joy, and you get that in spades with both the 6th and 7th Symphony.
Which is funny for a guy who wrote a song actually called
The Ode to Joy. However, it happened at the end of his career.
Right.
So, and that's where all the elements of this inner sound world that he was able to express outwardly through the orchestra and also joy, coming to terms with his limitations, which wasn't a limitation. It was actually a gateway to freedom, artistic freedom.
Any parts of this that are going to sound familiar to us from Bugs Bunny cartoons?
Yeah. So again, there's lots of joy in it, but there is the middle movement is actually the opposite of the spectrum, and it's kind of a funeral march, and you hear that in soundtracks all the time. But it's one of these incredibly what I love about the piece is its emotional dynamic, from joy to sorrow to joy and humor. And so it just resonates with me sometimes. And sometimes it's hard for me to describe this, but there are certain pieces that just land in my body better when I'm conducting. It's just more of a natural extension of my own personality.
And humor is not something that we always associate with Beethoven.
Correct. And yet, one of Beethoven's teachers was Franz Joseph Haydn, and his music is filled with humor and wit. And I think as Beethoven matured as a composer, he realized, seriousness is sometimes overrated. Humor is also a necessary human condition.
Couple of performances as usual with your Masterworks, Saturday in Cedar Rapids in the evening and then Sunday afternoon.
Yep, 7:30 at the Paramount. Come 45 minutes early, and we do have our usual insights where Conor and I will talk about music and all that other stuff. And then we reprise this program in Iowa City on Sunday at 2 o'clock at Voxman Hall of Music. And come an hour early for that discussion with Conor. To be consistent in Iowa City, because we play in a variety of venues, some of the venues to allow us to do the insights, we have to start a little earlier than we would normally in Cedar Rapids. So it's an hour earlier in Iowa City, so at 1 o'clock. And in Cedar Rapids, it's only 45 minutes before the downbeat at 6:45. So hope to see you there. One last piece that's on the program. It's the Debussy Afternoon of the Faun, L'après-midi d'un Faun. One of the great masterworks of all time, certainly of Debussy's, and it changed the landscape of orchestral music at the time. So we have three composers who literally transformed the landscape of their generation. And Debussy and Bartók were remote contemporaries. I think Bartók was starting up just as Debussy was starting to hang it up. And they even met a couple of times, but yet their music could not be more different. But what is the secret to their music is how they imbue their music with sort of the rhythmic cadence of their native tongue. how the French language sort of inspires and informs how Debussy writes his music, and the Hungarian language inspires and informs the rhythm of how Bartók writes his music.
And another opportunity for you to kind of compare and contrast is your experience in the concert, because those two pieces will be back to back.
Back to back. Yeah, what an interesting historical snapshot. Yeah, this was happening at one time, and just a couple miles later down the road in Hungary, meanwhile, this was happening. And wow, what a different world.
Orchestra Iowa and Masterworks coming up Saturday 7:30 at the Paramount Theatre and Sunday at 2 in the Voxman Hall of Music in Iowa City. Always fun to hear you deconstruct these concerts and talk about your contemporaries, especially from the point of view of someone who has played just a tiny bit of piano
just
in his
a bit.
life.
But hey, listen, I'm excited about this. Please come and support Conor. It is such I can't say enough how big of a deal it is for somebody to have progressed to where he is, who's come from our area, and it's great to celebrate him.
Well, we punch above our weight in
sure
terms
do.
of musicians that we have sent out into the world, and the ones we've kept here too.
Absolutely,
but
we sure have.
Conor is top flight, and this is one I've had on my calendar
Me
for a
too.
while. Really
Me
looking
too.
forward to it. If we need tickets, we can get them at
orchestraiowa.org or artsiowa.com.
All right. Well, we're going to completely change the flavor of things in a couple of weeks with the first Pops concert, and we'll talk about that presently. Thanks for being here, Tim.
Excellent. See you then.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.